A few weeks ago, I asked you guys the question, should I buy the Boss IR2, the Line 6 Pod Express, or the IK Multimedia ToneX One? That video's had thousands of views and hundreds of comments in that time, and I've done a bit of research over these three affordable digital modeling solutions over the past couple of weeks. And well, you've seen the title already. I've ended up purchasing the IK Multimedia ToneX One. And so this video is going to be a little bit of my first impressions. I'm going to give you some sounds, and we're going to do a blind test between my analog amp, my Hughes Kettner Black Spirit 200 with some of my favorite drive pedals, versus some of the free and stock presets that you can find on the ToneX One. So thank you to everybody who commented on my previous video. I did go with the ToneX One in the end, partly because I think it's the most exciting of those three options. It does seem to have many different use cases that you can put it through. You can put it in many different parts of your signal chain. You can use it as a standalone practice device or as a live unit. It can replace your amp. It can be different fuzz or drive pedals in part of an otherwise analog rig, or it can be your direct to computer recording device. It does an awful lot. And I think that the idea that there are very many thousands of free ToneX presets available already and captures, and there will be more and more coming in future from professional and not professional users alike, that kind of elevated the ToneX for me and made it the one that I've bought. Now, I also have to say that the ToneX was the only one of the three pedals that was actually available. Almost half a year after Boss launched the IR2, you still can't buy it in my part of Europe. And the same thing with the Line 6 Pod Express. So I'm still going to have to try those two at some point. But for now, we've got the ToneX One, and that's what this video is going to be about. Now, you've already watched all of the other videos with people telling you what the pedal can do, what the various controls do, and so on. So the first thing I did when I bought the ToneX was get it out the box and start using it in the most simple way possible. That's guitar lead into here, headphones out of here, power it up, and away you go. Simple practice rig with two cables, and that was it. It took about 3 or 4 minutes to work out what the physical controls on the units do, and about 3 or 4 hours for me to work out how the rather unintuitive, I have to say, ToneX software works. But I've got the hang of it now, so if you've got any questions, let me know down there. And I will also link to a couple of the really useful YouTube tutorials that I watched that helped me get my head around the ToneX software. But anyway, what we're going to do now is that blind test. So I'm going to play a bunch of riffs in the usual styles that I play here on the channel using my standard analog rig and also using the ToneX One. And I'm not going to tell you which is which, and your challenge is to guess which is which. So my rig on the analog side is going to be the Hughes Kettner Black Spirit 200 with my Greer Lightspeed organic overdrive and my Revv G3 distortion pedal. We'll use both of those and a couple of the amp's different channels as well to play some clean stuff, some crunchy stuff, some hard rock and some heavy metal as well. And we'll be using some of the free sounds presets that you can get from the ToneX One to replicate that in terms of quality, not in terms of the actual sounds. I haven't used the ToneX One to capture the tones of my analog amp or anything like that. So it's just going to be a quality test here. One of the rigs is going to be rig A at all times and the other is going to be rig B, and your challenge is to guess which one is which. Is rig A the ToneX or is it the Hughes Kettner? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments and I shall reveal all afterwards. By the way, all of these riffs are played on the 2024 Yamaha Pacifica Standard Plus, and if you want to see a full video on that guitar, well, you can do that elsewhere on my channel too. Enough talk though, let's hear these two rigs together and we'll speak in a bit more detail, and I'll give you a few more reasons about why you should buy the ToneX One and why you maybe shouldn't afterwards. Okay then, so that was the ToneX One up against the Hughes Kettner Black Spirit 200 and a couple of drive pedals. And I hope you enjoyed the playing and tones, and I hope you've made your decision as to which one you thought was which. Let me know in the comments which one you preferred and why, perhaps. Whether you knew which one was the ToneX and which was the Hughes Kettner. But I can now reveal to you that Rig A was the Hughes Kettner, so the ToneX One was Rig B. Did you get it right? Let me know your thoughts and comments down there in the comments section. Let me know which one you thought sounded best, whether you thought the ToneX sounded like an authentic amp, whether you thought the Black Spirit 200 was overshadowed by this $200 modeling solution. I really want to know your thoughts on the matter. I have to say straight off the bat, for 200 euros, this is incredible value for money, and I see an awful lot of potential in it. I haven't explored probably 5% of what this unit can do, and I'm already extremely impressed with it, I have to say that. But what I wanted to do now was go through and give you a list of things that I think are good about the ToneX One and a few things that I think are maybe not quite so good. Reasons to buy it, or reasons maybe to consider something else like the Boss IR2 or the Line 6 Pod Express, for example. So the first thing that I'm going to say that is a massive plus for the ToneX One is the fact that getting it out of the box, it's so easy and simple to get started and get playing. Like I said in the intro, I plugged my guitar lead in here, my headphones out here, I powered it up via a standard 9-volt pedal power supply, and I could play straight away. And there's something really enticing for me personally about getting immediate results, especially when it comes to modeling and things like that. I'm someone who's very scared of big deep dive menus and software and stuff like that, and so the fact that you can get this out the box and get usable tones straight away was a huge plus point for me. Now the tones themselves in this unit are fantastic. I really have to say that as well. This is the first time I've been convinced with tones from a modeling unit, and also with playing feel from a modeling unit as well. Now in terms of the sounds, the 20 that you get in the box as you buy it new are okay, they're not super inspiring, but I did manage to go into the software, and within a couple of hours I had some much better ones in the unit, which just sound really good, and they feel great to play as well. So there's something authentic feeling about this unit which I've just never had from other modelers that I've used in the past. It feels like you're playing a proper amplifier, if you know what I mean. It's dynamic, it has touch sensitivity. When you flick between different pickups on the guitars as well, you really notice that you're doing that, and I've played other modelers where you don't really have that effect. And so in terms of the tones and in terms of the feel too, I've already been convinced by the ToneX One. So those are two fantastic plus points right from the off. Something else I want to say about the sounds too is the fact that you can do a good bit of tonal tweaking on the unit itself when you're not connected to the software, and I actually find that a lot of these models, a lot of these presets and captures sound good when you do a bit of knob tweaking. On older Kemper profiles that I tried back in the day, you got this amazing tonal snapshot of a single tone, but as soon as you started changing the EQs or adding in reverbs or stuff like that, you started to lose some of that sheen, and it did start sounding less authentic. And this sounds authentic pretty much all of the time. Obviously, the more you tweak the knobs, the more it's going to sound less like that real capture, that real preset that you've originally had, but it still sounds fairly decent. So you can do tonal tweaking on the pedal too, and the pedal itself is very easy and intuitive to use. You've got double functions for all of these knobs, but it really takes a second to learn how to use them, so that's a great plus point as well. One other thing I've noticed is that the ToneX sounds great with all of the guitars and pickup types I've tried it with so far, so it's got no favorites there or anything like that, so that's great to hear. Now you'll have noticed if you watch my channel regularly that I wasn't using one of my standard guitars for this video. I was using the Yamaha Pacifica Standard Plus. There's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, because I've got it on loan from Yamaha Germany and it's a fantastic guitar and I want to use it as much as possible before I give it back. But secondly, and more important in terms of the ToneX, is that I was using the Pacifica when I first tried the ToneX and when I first plugged in the ToneNET software. So I found presets that I wanted to use while using the Pacifica's pickups, and this pedal is particular between the different guitars and the different presets. So if I plug in my Telly, for example, now the presets are going to sound different, and that's something of course that would happen with real analog amps as well. Take a Telly and plug it into a Marshall Plexi and then plug it into a Fender Bassman, and it's going to sound very different, and different guitars prefer different amplifiers. That's the case here as well. So once you get into making presets, my advice to you would be make different preset libraries for your different guitars, and you can load them in when you're playing said guitar, and you're going to maximize your tonal performance from the ToneX One. And in terms of tonal performance of the ToneX One, well, like I said, I'm very impressed already, and I've only scratched the surface of the capabilities of this unit. I've not made any captures myself or anything like that. I've only been downloading and using totally free to use presets on the ToneNET software from the likes of Amalgam Audio, and they sound fantastic and they feel great too. So there are so many different free profiles that you can get from the ToneNET software. All you've got to do is go into the software and you can type in the kind of sound that you want. Type in Plexi or something like that, and you'll get a bunch of different ones. You can order them by the most liked, the most downloaded, and you can just cycle through them straight away. Find one that you like, save it as your own preset, and you're good to go. But I just named Amalgam Audio. That's one great example of a company who is actually making free presets, but also preset packs that you can buy. I haven't purchased any sounds from Amalgam or from anyone else for the ToneX, but there are a number that you can purchase, and I can assume that they're going to take the tonal performance up another notch as well. And a couple of other great plus points about the ToneX One, reasons why you might want to try this one out for yourself. Well, firstly, the price, 199 euros or around $200. Very, very affordable. You know, there are some boutique overdrive pedals that cost more than this. And if you're looking for a high-end modeling or capture device, something like the Kemper is going to be significantly more expensive. And you've also got the tiny form factor. You can basically take the ToneX One anywhere. It's the size of a standard mini pedal. So if you're using it as your standalone practice rig with headphones, well, it can go straight in your gig bag. It could even fit in your jacket pocket if you really want to do something like that. If you're using it as your amplifier, well, it can fit pretty much anywhere. If you're going to be putting it on a pedal board, that's very easy too. If you just want to use it in the stomp box mode as a drive pedal, that works very well too. It'll fit onto any pedal board. If you're just using it as your recording option, again, it can sit right on your desk. It really is very small and extremely portable too. And the last thing that I want to say in terms of plus points is that I found this pedal hugely inspirational for some reason. reason. I'm not going to say it's the best sounding pedal I've ever heard, or the most useful, or the most intuitive, especially the software, but somehow since I've had this pedal for the past 10 days or so, I think in terms of playing hours per day, I've not played this much guitar in a long time. So there's something very inspirational about this pedal. There's something very cool about being able to cycle through some of the great free tones on offer, tweaking your sounds to make them sound better, and just enjoying riffing and the simplicity of it when you turn off the computer and just have the one pedal on the floor in front of you. So an extremely inspirational little box, but there are a couple of negative things about it, a couple of things that might put you off purchasing the ToneX One, and these are the things that I've found so far that I don't like so much. The first is, if you're skeptical of the software, as I was, take note that you really do need the software to make the most of this unit. You can buy it and just use the 20 sounds that come straight out of the box, the factory presets, but those are really not the best sounds on offer, and you can get way better by using the software. So if you're going to be buying this, you are going to need to use the software to get the best tones out of it. For me personally, that's not amazing, but I know that many of you guys out there really love using software and plugins and stuff like that, so shouldn't be any problem for you. The next problem though is the software itself. The ToneNET software is, in my opinion, extremely unintuitive until you work out how it works, and at some point something's going to click in your head and you'll realize how you can do things in the most streamlined way possible, but it did take me a few hours to get to grips with. I didn't want to do anything super complex either. I just wanted to find some of the best free presets out there and put them into my own little preset library, and that did take some time. Like I said, once I've worked out how it works, it's much more simple than it was, but it's not something that you will get straight away. Maybe you will and you're lucky, but for me it took quite a while. So good luck with that if you're in the process of navigating it, but rest assured that when it does click, it does get a lot easier. And finally, well, for the size of the pedal, for the price that you're paying, you are going to have some limitations. This is a mini pedal, and presumably they couldn't fit an effects loop onto it either. That would be something I'd quite like to have. And in terms of the limitations, you've only got 20 presets on this, and a lot of that all leans towards buying the larger ToneX pedal. I already want one of those. I already kind of feel like that would give me all of the options that I could ever want with the ToneX One. So there are some things about it that are not that fantastic, but overall I think that this is a fantastic pedal. I'm extremely happy that I spent my own money to buy it, and I've been bowled over by how good it feels in terms of playing, how good it sounds in terms of playing, and how well it performs overall, how simple and easy it is to use if you've stepped away from the computer and you're just using the unit itself. This is the first modeling device that I've ever had that sounds great and feels great too in terms of playing. It really responds to my picking technique and my dynamics very, very well. So if you're someone who's skeptical about that kind of thing, give one of these a try, and you never know, you may be surprised too. For me, the software is something that I live with it because I need to, but I don't enjoy using it that much yet. It will get easier the more hours I put into it, I'm sure. But for me, the ToneX One is best once I've loaded in a series of presets that I want to use and I take it away from the computer and can just play and enjoy. And I think that many of you will be using it in that sort of a setup as well. I'm also yet to really test the waters with many of the capabilities of this pedal. I haven't ever made a capture, and I suspect I probably never will, and I suspect that 90% of you buying this won't either. You'll buy the presets or download the pre-presets of the pros, but there are so many other ways that you can use this pedal as well. It can be a practice device, you can use it as your gigging amp or as a backup amp. It can be a drive pedal on an otherwise analog pedal board. It can be your recording interface. It can be so many different things. And for under 200 bucks, I think it's a no-brainer at least to try. So if you're a skeptic like me, give the ToneX One a test, and you never know, you might end up like me buying one and thinking about buying another too. I hope that this video has been informative and educational for you in a way about this pedal. I hope you enjoyed the tone test too, but let me know your thoughts on the ToneX One down there. And if you're still around, it would really make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or maybe even subscribe to my little channel, because that really does help. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.